I arrived at Dad's Opulent promotion event, just to hear, "I credit everything to my daughter. My son lacks the drive." All applauded. Then my stepmother snarled, "Security, eject this man." I rose, presented him a gift box, and stated, "From your greatest letdown." Then I exited. When he unwrapped it, he froze. Imagine sacrificing everything for your family, only to have your own father stand before a crowd and declare you're not good enough. What would you do? Because for me, that night, under the harsh spotlight, was the moment I finally broke free. My name is Daniel. I'm 31, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the designated helper, the emergency contact, the one who fixes broken systems, whether it's a software project at work or the chaos that was my family. I keep calendars, budgets, and fires under control. But for years, I tried to do that with my family, too, and it was slowly killing me. My father, Victor, is a force of nature. A storyteller, a salesman. He could charm a crowd into believing he'd personally wrung rain from a stone. My stepmother, Leah, likes things shiny and loud. And my sister, Nina, who's 22, used to be glued to Dad's side like a second shadow. My mom remarried, moved away, and while we talked, our timelines rarely lined up. I didn't even plan to go to the party. It was January, a fancy downtown hotel ballroom, all gold chairs, and a stage big enough for a choir. Dad had just been promoted to executive VP. The invitation wasn't even to me. It was for Victor's family, posted in the group chat with a champagne emoji and a link to a registry for his congrats fund. I read it twice, closed the app, and told myself I was busy. Then Nina called, the morning of. "Are you coming?" Her voice was tight, anxious. "To a party I wasn't invited to?" I shot back. "You were," she insisted. Leah said, "You know how to find information. That wasn't an invite, nah." "Please," she whispered, "show up for me." So I went. I wore a charcoal suit, my tie still clinging to the ghost of yesterday's coffee. The ballroom buzzed. People were posing with a banner the size of a garage door. "Congrats, Victor." Like it was a movie premiere. I slipped along the wall, found a seat near the exit, just wanting to get through it. Then the stage lights went hot and bright, and I heard my father's voice. "I owe it all to my daughter," he boomed, pointing at Nina. "My son never had what it takes." The crowd laughed. They clapped. The band did a little 4-second flourish, like punctuation. Depending on where you sat, you might have thought it was a harmless joke, a little playful jab. But I felt it. I felt it hit my ribs, a punch to the gut. I stared at my water glass, willing my jaw not to move, not to clench. Across the room, Leah's eyes cut through the crowd and landed on me. Her mouth twitched. "Security," she called out, loud enough for half the room to hear. "Remove this man." I stood up before the guard could even reach me. I reached under my chair, grabbed the small, wrapped box, the paper simple, the bow slightly crooked. And I walked. I walked down the center aisle, into the light. Heads turned. My father's smile stuck to his face, like tape that had lost its glue. "From your biggest disappointment," I said, my voice steady, and I held the box out. The room went cemetery quiet. I put it in his hands. I didn't wait. I didn't see what he did. I just turned, the carpet swallowing my steps. Behind me, I heard it. Tape tearing, paper crumpling. Then silence. A long, stretching silence. Then my name. In the voice I grew up chasing. "Daniel," he called. I kept moving. I didn't start out angry. I started out responsible. When I was 19, Dad told me, "You're the practical one. I need your head, not your feelings." He was in the middle of a divorce, running expenses like a circus, mortgage, lawyer, essential business lunches. I worked 2 campus jobs and still sent him $200 a month because he'd say, "We're a team." When he fell behind on a credit card, I co-signed a balance transfer. When Na needed textbooks, I paid the difference. I told myself, that's what family means. You fill the gap. "Dan, buddy," Dad would say. "You know I'll make it right. Soon as the new role lands." I'm on the short list. There was always a short list. There was always a soon. By 23, I had a spreadsheet. Reyes family. Green tabs for obligations, yellow for promises. I gave myself notes, like a polite warden. Utilities for Dad's house. $148.23 due May 12th. Reimburse. I saved screenshots. I saved receipts. I saved voicemails I never planned to use. Leah arrived the summer I turned 25. Bright lipstick, heels with red soles. She called me sweetheart when she needed something and kid when she didn't. I tried to welcome her. Her hug felt like a posed photograph. At dinner once, Leah said, "We're family now, and family invests in each other." "That's a nice sentence," I said. "What does it cost?" She just laughed. "You're funny." A week later, she added herself to the family group chat as house manager. She posted links to Na's enrichment needs, a laptop, a travel abroad deposit, coaching for grad school interviews. Dad added hearts. Nina thanked me privately each time. I'll pay you back when I can, she wrote once. It's okay, I wrote back. No rush. But I kept rushing. I paid the storage unit that held Dad's old furniture, so he wouldn't lose history. I covered an emergency tire replacement after he texted. Stranded. Clients waiting. I wired $1,200 when Leia wrote. Bank issue, frozen card. Long story. Can you spot us till Monday? Of course, I said. Because my body only knew yes back then. Mom watched from her new city with a kind of careful distance. When I visited, she'd cut fruit and ask about work, but never about Dad. I'm proud of you, she said once. But I worry that you mistake endurance for love. I'm fine, I told her. I wasn't. My savings account grew like a plant under a cup. Every time it sprouted, a request lifted the cup and clipped it. It wasn't just money. It was the way it was spoken around me. At one family barbecue, Dad told a story about closing a deal. We were 12 hours from losing it, he said, throwing an arm around Nina. And then my girl here found a typo in the deck. Saved us. What about the call you asked me to join? I said. I covered the integration questions. Dad waved a hand. Technical stuff. The clients remember the vision. Later, while I was washing dishes, Leia leaned on the doorframe. Don't be needy, she said softly. It's unattractive. I stacked plates. I'm not needy. You always want the gold star. I want a receipt, I said. That's different. I kept paying. When Na's semester went sideways, I wrote a check for the housing penalty because Dad's bonus is delayed by red tape. When a medical bill arrived in a white envelope the size of bad news, I put it on my 0% card and paid it down like a penitent. Then came the little break. Not dramatic. A hairline crack that started to split everything else. I went to open a new line of credit to refinance my own student loans. Denied. High utilization on a joint account, the rep said. I don't have a joint account, I told him. He read the last 4 digits. My stomach dropped. It was that balance transfer I'd co-signed years ago. I'd asked Dad to close it when we paid it down. Could you read the last few transactions? I asked. He did. Restaurants, jewelry, a resort fee. I called Dad. What is this? Relax, he said. We had to float a couple of things after Leia's card got flagged. I'll clear it next month. You said it was closed. Paperwork glitch. I said nothing for a breath that tasted like pennies. Close it, I finally said. Now, I'll pay the balance. Just close it. Don't be dramatic, he snapped, annoyed now. You always make storms out of sprinkles. I closed it. I paid the balance. I stared at my spreadsheet until the numbers blurred into salt. The group chat kept moving. Na's graduation trip. Victor's big Q3. Family is everything. The sentences came decorated with gifts and filtered photos of steak. One night, Nina called crying from her campus. I can't get Dad, she said. Can you help? My landlord says I'm short on the rent. He thought Dad sent it already. How short? 400. I'll send it. You always do, she whispered. That night, I added a tab to my spreadsheet. Boundaries. The sheet was empty. I left it open. Then I closed my laptop like that counted as action. By 30, I had paid enough in this month only emergencies to buy a new car. I drove my old sedan instead, watching the check engine light flicker like it was apologizing. Meanwhile, Dad posted photos of a leased SUV with a caption about rewarding hard work. Leia posted a boomerang of clinking glasses. Nina posted nothing. When the promotion rumors started, Dad called me himself. Your old man did it. Congrats, I said. What does it mean? More responsibility, bigger team, more visibility, more money, he laughed. Always counting, I replied. Somebody has to, I said. His voice softened. You know I appreciate everything you've done, right? I couldn't have reached this without everyone. Everyone, I repeated. The invite to the party showed up in the chat a week later. Family, let's celebrate. Leia wrote, then added a line that made my jaw tighten. Dress code, elevated. I hovered over the message. Typed, I can't make it. Deleted it. Then Nina called the morning of. Just said, please. So I went. And I heard that sentence. The one everyone applauded. And Leia told security to remove me. And I walked the aisle with that small box. It held a summary of 10 years. Inside, under the paper, was my grandfather's pocket watch, the one Dad had pawned for a temporary cash bump when I was 22. I tracked it down and bought it back last year. Under the watch was a single page from my spreadsheet. A list of dates and amounts, calm and boring, black ink on white paper, totaling $84,216. Beside the total was a note. No balance due. This is my last gift. There was also a second envelope. Not for Dad. For the board. Printed emails, time-stamped messages. The ones where Dad had accidentally forwarded me instructions to present my work as a consultant assistant under Nina's name because clients prefer a family story. I'd kept them, like proof that sanity remembered me. I hadn't planned to send that envelope. I'd printed it as a dare to myself. The dare won. When I reached the doors of the ballroom, I stopped. I turned back. Not to speak. To give myself that one look that seals a decision. Dad stood on stage, the box open, the watch in his palm, the paper trembling at the edges like it had learned fear. "Daniel," he said again, microphone live, warmth forced. "Come back up here. Let's clear this." Leia hustled to him, her smile tight. "He's making a scene," she hissed, though only the front row could hear. You didn't need sound to read her mouth. A cousin emerged from the crowd, reaching for my sleeve. "Hey man," he said quietly. "Maybe don't do this tonight." I took my arm back. Tonight is the night he picked. Nina was at the foot of the stage now, eyes glossy. "What's in the letter?" she asked. "Nothing," Dad said too fast. "Jokes." "Read it," someone called out. Dad chuckled. "We don't need to read it." "I will," I said, loud enough to cut the murmur. He tried to smile big again, put the microphone stand between us like a fence. "My son has a sense of humor," he said. "He thinks." I took my phone out and clicked a button. The hotel sound system caught the chime of it like an extra instrument. "Okay," I said, my voice steady. "I'll read." Security lingered near me, unsure. Leia lifted a hand. "Escort him." "You touch him." Na snapped at the guard, her voice clear and tiny, and finally, not a shadow. That bought me 30 seconds. I didn't plan to waste them. "This will be short," I said to the room. "You don't know me. That's fine. I'm not here to ruin anything. I'm here to return what's mine and what isn't." I held up my phone. For a decade, I helped cover gaps. That was my choice. I'm not a victim of my own choices. But I won't let history be rewritten while I'm standing in it. I nodded at the paper in Dad's hand. "Those are numbers, not emotions. Rent, utilities, tuition, deposits, tires. The watch is my grandfather's. It isn't a bribe or a trap. It's a return." A chuckle from a table near the front. One of Dad's colleagues. I recognized the jaw from LinkedIn. "This is uncomfortable," he said. "Good," I replied. "Growth usually is." Leia leaned into her mic. "He's overwhelmed." I cut her off with the one thing I had more of than anyone on that stage. Details. May 14th, 2019, I said. Email from Vireyes to client team looping in Nina. She found the integration fix. Attached to that email? My deck, my comments, my name stripped from the footer. June 2nd, 2021. Family crisis. Daniel wire $1,200. Frozen card. Then photos that week, Cabo. A ripple of discomfort moved through the room like a cold breeze. Dad's smile didn't know where to go. He tried the first reaction, aggression. "You're misunderstanding everything," he said through his teeth, the mic catching a bit of spit. "After everything I've done," I lifted a hand. "No," I said. "This is the last time you get to be loud and right at the same time." He flipped to reaction 2, manipulation. "What will happen to us if you torch my reputation?" He pleaded, eyes darting to his colleagues like a stagehand was late with a prop. "What about your sister?" "Na is an adult," I said. "She doesn't need me to pay in silence for her to eat." He tried the third, humiliation. "You always thought differently," he said, going for the wound he'd used since I was 10. "You never had the spark. You're jealous of your own father." "Jealous?" I said, almost laughing. "No." Exhausted. I took the second envelope from my jacket and set it on the nearest table. I didn't wave it. I didn't threaten. I just placed it, like a simple, boring thing. "It's addressed to your board," I said. "I hope I never have to mail it. I hope tonight is enough. But if your mouth keeps writing stories with my name, they'll need to read the original draft." The room exhaled. Someone clapped once, then stopped. The band adjusted their sheet music as if they could score this. Na looked at me. "Are you leaving?" she whispered. "Yes," I said. "For good this time." "What about me?" I looked at her the way I wish someone had looked at me when I was 19. "If you ever want help that isn't a secret, call me. If you want money, ask your boss. He's on stage." That landed like a soft hammer. Dad flinched. Leia covered the mic and hissed. Something that sounded like, "Apologize." I didn't. I turned. This time I made it through the doors. The hallway outside smelled like citrus cleaner and too many perfumes trying to win. I stood with my forehead against a cool wall for 20 seconds, counting my breaths. Then I took the elevator down to the street. On the curb, the January air felt like a rinsed glass. My phone vibrated. Mom's name. I answered. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yes," I said, surprised to hear the truth in it. "What happened?" I handed him a watch and a ledger, I said. "And a boundary," she laughed, sad and proud at the same time. "About time." I went home to my small apartment that had always been clean but never felt spacious because my life was crowded with other people's urgency. I made tea. It tasted like the idea of calm. I opened my spreadsheet. I went to the tab named Boundaries. I typed words. No money without a signed plan. No secrets. No group chat ambushes. No pretending jokes don't bruise. If you speak about me, speak to me first. I saved the file. Then I dragged the whole folder into an external drive labeled Past and unplugged it. Not to erase, but to put it somewhere that required intention to reopen. The first week was loud. Calls, texts, DM requests from cousins who treated family like a spectator sport. Dad left me a voicemail that started with a sigh and ended with a threat he couched as advice. You don't want to do something you can't undo, he said. Leia texted a paragraph that read like a cease and desist drafted by someone who learned law from TV. Defamation is a real thing, she wrote. We can't let your bitterness destroy what we built. Na sent one line. I'm sorry. I wrote back. I'm not mad at you. I'm done being useful in the dark. I blocked Dad and Leia. I didn't block Na. At work, I kept my head down, my calendar normal. A junior analyst poked her head into my office. Is everything okay? She asked. Everything is finally okay, I said, and I meant it in a way that made my throat sting. 2 weeks later, the room I'd left behind began to wobble. A colleague of Dad's, LinkedIn Jaw, posted a bland leadership is accountability article and tagged no one, but was tagged by everyone. Rumors do what rumors do. The envelope to the board stayed on my desk like a sealed storm. On a Tuesday, Nina showed up at my apartment with a backpack. She stood in the hall like a kid meeting a principal. I'm not here for money, she said before I could ask. I'm here because Dad told HR I was the brains. They want me to present next quarter. He said I should make it personal and tell a story. And can you? She winced. Without stealing someone else's work. No, she said. I mean, I can do the work, but I can't lie. Good, I said. Then you're already ahead. She came in. She sat on my couch and wrapped both hands around a mug, even though the tea was too hot. He said you try to turn me against him, she said. I won't. I said. I'll help you stand up without needing to push him down. We spent the evening building slides. Not my old deck. New slides. Her own. About her actual work. We rehearsed till her voice stopped reaching for apology. When she left, she hugged me hard. You always had what it takes, she said into my shoulder, almost laughing at the sentence as she wrecked it and fixed it at once. Dad called her 9 times that week. She sent each call to voicemail and wrote down what she wanted to say, then didn't say it. She asked me if that was cowardice. I told her it was practice. Without my monthly temporary spots, Dad's math started showing. Leia's posts shifted from restaurants to recipes. That would have been fine if it had come with self-awareness. It didn't. It came with a group email to extended family accusing me of unfair pressure. I didn't respond. People who wanted truth called me. I told it without theater. 3 weeks after the party, HR emailed Nina because someone had forwarded my envelope anyway, not me. Turns out details don't live quietly when people are busy stepping on them. HR asked questions. Dad answered loudly. Leia emailed me, fix this. I didn't. The next month, Dad went on leave to focus on family. The announcement tried to sound like a vacation. The comments under it did not. I didn't cheer. I didn't post. I made dinner and ate it at my table and realized I wasn't clenching my jaw. Bills still came. Mine. On time, ordinary, kind. I paid them like a person, not a lifeline. My savings started to look like a sky instead of a narrow hallway. I booked a weekend trip I'd postponed 3 times and sent Mom a photo of the ocean. She texted back a string of hearts that looked like punctuation. I finally understood. Na moved into a small apartment with 2 roommates who were kind and loud and left encouraging notes on the fridge. She called me to ask if I owned a drill. I did. I came by on a Saturday and hung shelves. We argued about where the spice rack should go like normal siblings in a comedy that doesn't have a tragedy under it. Do you think he'll call you again? She asked as we stood on her balcony, watching the city try to be evening without quite getting there. He might, I said, but he no longer has my number. She laughed. That's a flex. It's a filter, I said. A cousin sent me a link to a private Facebook post where Leia wrote a paragraph about family betrayal. I didn't click. I watered my plant instead. The plant didn't clap or whisper or ask me for money. It just stayed green because I fed it. That felt like the whole lesson. Ridiculous and obvious and true. When the company finally posted Dad's replacement, a woman who had been doing the work anyway, my phone stayed quiet. Na sent me a screenshot of the announcement with a small smiley face under it. I sent back congrats to her. Then I went for a run and found myself smiling halfway through for no reason I could name except oxygen and space. One afternoon, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, my father. He stood with his shoulders arranged into humility, an expression I'd never seen him practice long enough to make believable. I opened the door because I wanted to end the story while standing up. Daniel, he said, can we talk? We can stand, I said, not moving from the doorway. He looked thinner. Or maybe the volume of his voice had been doing half the work all along. I made mistakes, he said. But you didn't have to go nuclear. I didn't, I said. I left a room. You sent. I didn't send anything, I said. Information dislikes a vacuum. He stared past me into my living room like a man peering into a shop he couldn't afford. I miss my son, he said. Finally soft. I miss a father, I said. We're even. He swallowed. What do you want? I don't want, I said. I have peace. A life. Boundaries. He nodded, like he was at least good at the mime of acceptance. And the watch? He asked. It's yours, I said. It always was. I returned it because I didn't want to carry your pawns anymore. He flinched, then tried to smile. Clever. True, I said. He asked if he could hug me. I said no. He asked if he could call me next week. I said he could email me if it concerned Nina's health or a funeral. He exhaled like I had hit him. Maybe I had. He left. When the elevator doors closed on him, I laid down on my rug and stared at the ceiling fan, turning a steady circle. I texted Na. He came by. He's okay. She wrote back. So are you. For the first time in a long time, that sentence didn't feel like a negotiation. It felt like a report. A month after everything, I sat on a park bench with a notebook I didn't plan to show anyone. I wrote a list, not of payments, but of promises to myself. I won't buy admission to rooms where I'm also the punchline. I won't confuse silence with grace. I won't label panic duty. I won't fund disrespect. I won't be the ghost writer of someone else's legend. I closed the notebook and watched a kid learn how to throw a frisbee badly, and then better. A dog kept retrieving it like the world was perfect. It felt like a small cruelty that joy looks the same before and after you draw a line, but also like a relief. The sky doesn't flinch when you say no. People asked me later what was in the box. Like the object mattered more than the moment. I tell them the truth. A watch, a ledger, and an ending. The watch was not a test. It was a return. The ledger was not revenge. It was clarity. The ending wasn't dramatic in my body. It was quiet. It felt like discovering a door had been unlocked the whole time. My father will keep telling stories. That's what he does. Some people will clap out of habit. Some will stop. That belongs to them. What belongs to me is the distance I keep, and the way I speak to myself when rooms get loud. Nina sent me a photo yesterday of her standing by a whiteboard at work. Marker in hand, mouth open mid-sentence. Her caption said, didn't faint. Mine back said, proud. She wrote, dinner this week? I said yes, and didn't check my calendar, because I wanted my life to bend around something that wasn't an emergency for once. I still have the envelope to the board, sealed and heavy like a storm that stayed offshore. I hope it can stay in a drawer forever, not because I'm scared to mail it, but because I prefer when consequences come from the right direction and not from me. If they don't, I know where the post office is. People love a moral, so here's mine, simple enough to fit on a sticky note. I don't owe anyone my ruin to prove I'm loyal. I don't owe anyone my savings to prove I'm generous. I don't owe anyone my quiet to prove I'm mature. What I owe is to myself not to let anyone spin me without my consent. If that makes me a disappointment, fine. I can live with that. In fact, I'm living with it quite easily. Because the opposite of being someone's biggest disappointment isn't being their pride. It's being your own person. And that, finally, is expensive in exactly the right ways. Have you ever felt like you were constantly paying a price, whether it was emotional or financial, just to be part of the family? What finally made you decide enough was enough? Let me know in the comments below.